Okay, so Grand Rising, Radiant Risings, and Great Awakening. Great Awakening. We are having some more dialogue and discourse today. Um, I wanted to make sure that I was clear headed. There's a lot of things that I want to unpack in this video that I have been processing for the past few days. So as you're coming into the live, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click like. Make sure you show your support. Hey, Grand Rising, I'm glad you're here. So we're going to dive into an important conversation today. And as I said, as you're coming into the space, please be sure to click like, subscribe to the channel. Let's try to get to 4,000 by the end of the month. Let's try to get them 4,000. Then we're going to move to 5,000. Then we're going to move to 10,000. Then we're going to move to 20,000. Let's really, really try to get this, get this channel going. We're trying to break through the algorithm, trying to make sure that this message gets out there, because one of the things that I agree with is I think that the information needs to be available. Like, we are living in times where we need to have, all of our guides and our teachers in spaces and places where their voices can be amplified. And, if we choose not to follow a specific teaching or not to lean into a specific teaching, but rather to kind of pull from all of the teachings to kind of come up with with what we want to follow, how we want to move, then I definitely think that that's what we should do. I, for one, um, have based my beliefs, my spirituality, my perspective, and my thought process is a culmination of the various practices and experiences that I've had throughout the course of my existence in this particular manifestation. Let's be clear. Um, so we're starting off. I'm gonna let you know what inspired this. Um, I watched the video with Judge Joe Brown and Candace Owens, and a few things triggered me. But before I start on the pushback and the critique, um, my relationship with Candace, my relationship with Candace Owens, she has said some very derogatory things about trans people. She has said some very negative things about trans people, and I know her standpoint on trans people. But when you're becoming when you're a judge, when you are sitting in the position of you're trying to deliberate in which direction you're going to go on, what you're going to believe, you cannot totally ignore the people that are in opposition to you. You cannot totally ignore the other side of the story. It's two sides to every story. And this is what people fail to realize. It's two sides to every story. Like when they say, oh, you was born a man, that's all you're ever going to be. You were born a man. That's the story you got. But there's another side to that story, and that's the wholeness side of the story. And the wholeness side of the story is I am my mother and my father. Both DNAs exist inside of me. They tell you you can't change your DNA. You're right. I don't want to change my DNA. I was born with male appendage, male parts, but I'm still just as much connected to my mother as I am my father. I'm still just as much connected to my grandmother as I am my father. I just was not born with the reproductive organs of my foremothers. And there are beings who are born with those reproductive organs and they don't feel connected to their foremothers. They feel more connected to their forefathers. So, see, the way the word cuts for you, it cuts for me as well. And so I'm not the only one having this experience. There are millions of us having this experience of being born in vessels that we don't connect with, but it doesn't mean that we're not connecting with what's in us. That just means that it's showing up in a different way. Some of you, you get what you got and you good. Some of us, we struggle against that. Not saying that makes me better than you, but it does make me different, and that's okay. Amen, a woman. So make sure as y'all coming in, y'all click that like button, you subscribe to the channel. Don't come up in here with the foolishness, because Faith is in the chat with the monkey wrench, ready to swing it for the foolishness. She is not playing with y'all today. She is not playing with y'all in this chat today. So let's not come up in here. Let's not come up in here with the foolishness. But I've been watching. I watched the Candace Owens video. I also wanted to talk about young Pharaoh, but I think we're gonna take that for another day because I saw they've been doing videos about the rise and fall of young Pharaoh, and it's just so crazy that the black community has this pattern of heralding beings who you can kind of tell from the beginning they're charlatans. You can kind of tell they're from the beginning they're grifters and they're not invested in forwarding the movement of all black people. Because if they were, you're not going to come in condemning people who navigate life differently than you. You're not going to come in. Like, I've been having a side eye Dane Calloway lately because I understand that you're mad at Barack Obama for chastising black men for not wanting to vote for Kamala. I get all of that. But when you start with his gay ass, when you start doing stuff like that, when y'all start doing the underhanded homophobic stuff, when y'all start doing the underhanded transphobic stuff, like when y'all start doing that, I'm side eyeing y'all because y'all are really not about uplifting the collective. You're really not about empowering the collective. You're about making sure that when this shift happens, that when this reset happens, it is white supremacy and blackface, and you're still here for the same patriarchal shenanigans. You're still here for the same patriarchal binary shenanigans. You're still here for all that. You're still here for all that. You just want it in blackface. So I'm paying attention to all of y'all. And as we get closer to this reset, people are revealing who they are. People are becoming more transparent about who they are and what their agenda is. They've been keeping it cute because they didn't want so much backlash from the LGBTQIA mafia that they've had to keep it cute. But now, since everything is being exposed, even the shenanigans of the LGBTQ, even the ops up in there, all the ops getting exposed right now. All the ops is getting exposed right now. And so a lot of our black leaders and teachers and guides, they feel more confident and they feel more capable and they feel more supported and really let you know just how homophobic they are and just how transphobic they are. Even within our own community, you're starting to see the biases. Even within our own community, you're starting to see the biases come out amongst the LGBTQ. You're starting to see the gay men get more cocky with their stuff. You're starting to see the lesbians get more cocky with their stuff. This recent conversation about the bisexual stud gagged me because I'm like, you can't rest in your masculinity and still be a stud. Like you can't rest in your masculinity and not be worried about what somebody got between their legs. Like not be hung up on flesh. Like you're a stud. And hey, sometimes you want to be with a man. Sometimes you want to be with a woman. What you mean there's no such thing as a bisexual stud? Like, I'm trying to understand. A stud is a female or a being who was born with a womb who is comfortable with presenting in a masculine way. Now, traditionally, they are known for being attracted to women. They're known for being attracted to females. But while we're in this season of liberation for the womb bearer, can the stud be liberated as well, or can just cis heterosexual women? Is this just y'all season for liberation? So the stud can't be liberated. The stud can't say, oh, okay, I'm liberated too now. I'm a go and ride that baloney pony sometime. I'm gonna go and get me sometime, and his energy match mine. Like, the stud can't do that. So like everybody's everybody's biases is coming out. Everybody is like really, really showing you who they are right now. So this is a very interesting time in his story because we're seeing what everybody is truly about and what everybody truly stands for. Like the truth is being revealed. But anyway, let me go to my notes because I want to make sure I don't leave nothing out as I'm talking. And I'm totally available for people to, to do lives where people can come on. Yesterday in the comment section, before I get to the bulk of the conversation, but yesterday in the comment section, I'm assuming, I don't know if it was a black cis woman, I don't know who it was, but they said that they would have loved to see me do the panel discussion that I did recently, that featured all black trans women. Lynn Morrison, the mother of the National Trans March of Visibility, Dr. Giselle Noel Triplett, who graduated from Capella University, Natasha Torrey, who is a well-known trans artist who, sings, who does plays, who has had several roles. She wasn't a major star in Pose, but she's made several cameos throughout the season in Pose. So we had the panel, and it was an impromptu panel discussion. But there was a comment that was made in the comment section that said, I would have loved if Kaneen would have moderated this and there would have been some black cis women present. And that's an interesting story because black cis women, um, I want to be mindful of how I say this. Black cis women, um, they showed up more when I was actually doing the binary work. They showed up more physically when I was actually doing the binary work, when I was actually, using she, her pronouns, and when I was praying to King Jesus. Black cis women were showing up for me and were inviting me into spaces where, I was in the space, but I wasn't really allowed to govern the space or to help guide the space or to co-create in the space. I was more so, hey, you're our guest. We're welcoming you into the space, but not too much. It's very much that energy. And it brings up, what just happened to me recently, with me reaching out to a black cis woman because that's what she is. She's a black cis woman, and she's a black cis woman who likes to take testosterone. She's a lesbian black cis woman who likes to take testosterone, and I tried to cross the divide with her, because she was telling me she was whole and stuff. And what happened was when I told her, we're not gonna keep dividing these resources equally because this is for the community that I'm serving, which is the community that I felt you were helping too, because you come on my lives, you're on my lives, you're like you've been following my life because I didn't come looking for you. You incorporated yourself into my life, and so what it's given is you was an op the whole time. That's what it's given. You incorporated yourself into my life, and now I owe you thousands of dollars for nothing. Yeah, you gave me some advice, you gave me some wisdom, but I taught you too. You learned from me too. You grew because of me too. Where my thousands? So where I am with black cis women is black cis women have not been showing up for Laylim Layler. Black all of those black trans women who showed up in that video, a lot of y'all come in the comment section and y'all have all of these bright ideas about how my stuff can be better. But then when I ask y'all to donate, because my platform is controversial, I don't see any of y'all going to y'all funding sources. I don't see any of y'all interceding to the resources that y'all have, because you ain't necessarily got to come out your pocket. You can inbox me and say, look, I have some grant writing skills. I think I know a grant that would be perfect for you. Let's get together so I can help you get this money. Let's get together so we can help get Laylim Layler to the next level. Ain't none of y'all doing that. But then y'all, and this is not shade to the person who made the comment. This is just in general to everyone who has those type of comments. Y'all always have feedback on how I can improve my platform, but y'all know that my message is controversial. My message is anti-establishment. My message is anti-binary. My message is anti-patriarchy. Who the fuck funding that? Who funding that? Who giving money out for that? So when people show up and support, they show up because they got time for it. They show up because they're invested in it. They show up because they believe in it. They show up because they see the work that I'm doing and they want to be a part of it. If you want your voice to be heard on my platform, you got to show up, and you can't be looking for no check. You can't be looking for no money, because this is the real work. This is trying to unite a collective. This is the real work. This is the work that creates space for for all of us. This is the work that doesn't silence any of us. But some of y'all so worried about looks. Y'all so worried about how things look optically to the masses. That's y'all main concern, is about how things look optically to the masses. Y'all so busy trying to impress massa and trying to impress your oppressor that you showing up for the wrong things. So when you come on my platform and you critique me and you tell me that I need this, this, and that, what you're really saying is you need to coon, sis. What you really saying is you need to coon. That's what you're saying. Get your cooning skills up so that you can put some more money up in here. You need to go tap dance so that you can get your production up. You need to go tap dance so you can get your production up, because right now your production ain't on point, and y'all know what it takes to get there. So either you want me, either you want me to sell out, either you want me to compromise my integrity more, either that's what you want me to do. That's what you want me to do. Let me tell you something. It gets so real for me sometimes. I have to do things. Now, don't get me wrong, it's things I be comfortable with, because I like sex. But I have to do things sometimes that I shouldn't have to do. Like, I should not be talking to a man and be thinking about what's in his pocket because I'm trying to support my work. I shouldn't have to engage with a man and engage with him solely for the purpose of thinking about what's in his pocket, because I'm thinking about how I'm going to look out for me and those around me. Now, when I engage with this man, I got to be wondering what his pockets look like, because I'm not being supported. I'm not receiving the support I need. Just not. That's just the reality. So sometimes when I'm talking to a man, I got to consider what's in his pockets. I might want to have him. I might just want to have. But I still got to consider what's in this man's pockets, because I'm trying to see if his pockets going to help me with this work. Trying to see if his pockets going to help me get this work. At 47 years old, I still have to put myself in a position to consider what is in a man's pockets before I lay down with him. Not what's in his head, not what's in his heart. What's in your wallet? Like they say in the commercial, what's in your wallet? And that's how we sustain patriarchy, always having, because the expectation is for this man to have this money. The expectation is for this man to have this money. And because so many of my cisgender sisters are around here saying, what's in your wallet? They ups on the plantation trying to get that big check. They ain't checking up on me. They ain't checking up on me. Sister, I ain't got no dick for you, and I ain't got no money for you. But I guarantee you, I'm trying to liberate your children, not your kids, your children, your offspring. I'm trying to liberate them. I'm trying to elevate them. I'm trying to help raise us out of this toxicness that we keep manifesting into. Now, with that said, I'm going to move on. It's 29 people on here, but only 7 likes, so I guess a lot of y'all triggered by what I'm saying. That's okay though. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. A lot of y'all triggered because there's 28 people on here, only 7 likes. So y'all triggered. I get it. It's okay. It's okay. So let's talk about so I want to talk about black cis women, Judge Joe Brown and Candace Owens. So Judge Joe Brown said a lot of things that ticked me off, and one of the things that he said, I'm not against them, dispelling this lie that Kamala Harris has Negro blood, has I'm not upset about that. I'm not mad that they calling Kamala out. I think that Kamala needs to be constantly called out. Donald Trump needs to be called out. I was at a panel discussion last night, and baby, I said it because they were in a space, they was coming out with that rhetoric, vote or die, or did we gotta vote, they trying to erase you, they trying to do it, like we keep consistently forgetting this idea that all of our ancestors did not die for us to vote. Some of them died because they didn't want to have anything to do with this. And what upsets me is y'all done glamorize the Reconstruction period of Black America. But let's really get into it. During that time, there was a trans woman. She was not a trans woman, but that's what we're going to call her for the sake of the slow people. She was a being who rested and resided more in her femininity, and she was born with ambiguous genitalia. So much so that the doctors had to examine her more than one time to understand what was going on below the waist. She was a being who had ambiguous genitalia. Intersex Day is coming up. National Intersex Day is coming up. For all we know, Francis could have been intersex. We don't know. The doctors were so confused about the genitalia, they had to do a second survey. They had to do a second. They had to check her out. Frances Thompson. That's her name. Frances Thompson played a critical role in the Reconstruction era. Her testimony was what helped a lot of us to get what we consider freedoms today. But let me tell you how they played in Frances Thompson's face. A few years later, they went back. They arrested Frances Thompson for dressing in women's clothes, and they sent her to prison. And when she came home from prison, she died. Now let's unpack that whole situation there. Now, a lot of Black people benefit off the testimony of Frances Thompson when Frances Thompson was able to blend into the binary and present as a Black woman. But when they wanted to discredit that, and when they wanted to put a stain on the Black Reconstruction era, and you ain't gonna hear none of your so-called Black conscious leaders talk about Frances Thompson. They're not gonna tell her story. They're gonna exclude her. But a lot of the so-called freedoms that Black people have today was on the back of a being like me. Now, mind you, there was a rape story. So there was a bunch of police officers. They was like Caucasian. I think they was Irish or something like that. They came in the house, and they raped Frances Thompson and the females, the cis women, the womb bearers that she was with. Now, mind you, Frances Thompson took the bulking of the raping. So when it was time to testify, Frances Thompson testimony swayed everything that happened, and it caused us to have a lot of the freedoms that we have now. Now look, after Frances Thompson did all that, get into this, the gag. You saw more black men that we've ever seen in the history of this nation. You saw them take positions of power. You saw them become a part of Congress. And what they were doing in that moment was, when you hear the word Reconstruction, I want you to understand that Frances Thompson was not being mistreated by Black men or Black women. Frances Thompson was living amongst Black people, was living amongst Black indigenous people, was living amongst the people. It was no problem. Frances Thompson defended black people, if she felt like black people was messing over her, she wouldn't have got on the stand and testified for black people. So she felt safe amongst black people. But when the media got a hold to the story because they was trying to discredit her as a person, they called her a pervert. They called her a man in women's clothing. Y'all talking about the colonizer created this trans narrative. No, we were already existing amongst you all as protectors, as shamans, as healers, as two-spirited beings. We were already existing. We was already accepted in the village. We was already accepted in the tribe. We was already accepted amongst our people. And you could still see that now. You could still see that playing out. How many of y'all got a gay or a trans family member that y'all run to talk to when y'all got a problem or y'all want advice from this or that? That's because we're whole ones. And a lot of you halflings, you come to us to help you look better, to help pull your look together, to get advice about your relationship, to get help when it's time for somebody to come put up them dukes and fight for you. But then y'all try to spin this narrative that somehow we scary and somehow we're weak and somehow we're responsible for the decline of the black nation, of black people. But it's because you keep putting these halflings in power. You keep letting these halflings lead. That's the problem. It's the halfling energy for me. So anyway, calm down because you don't want to scream and holler because you've been started cursing. Pull yourself together, girl. Bring it back. But so Francis Thompson, so during the Reconstruction era, this is how the black community was restructured to only acknowledge and recycle the same black people, the same gatekeepers, the same people who have bought into this system, the same people who have become puppets of industry, the same ones, the same ones. And when y'all saw about 10, 15 years ago that the trans community was coming, y'all tried to kick them out when Proposition 8 happened and the gay community, them gay men threw the trans community under the bus so that they could get through the door. When y'all saw we was coming, when y'all saw we was unstoppable, that's when y'all said, oh, let's go get them trans ones. Let's go find the coons. Let's go find the gatekeepers. Let's go find the ones that could be bought at. Because the movement is coming. You can't stop it. They hungry. We done held them down. Been down too long. Been down too long. We about to rise up, break it up, wake it up, take up space. Been down too long. When y'all saw that was coming, when y'all saw that was about to happen, that's when y'all went to go look for the coons. That's what y'all did. You notice I'm not famous. I'm not popular. Because I saw what it was. I saw what it was. And then that's when the ancestors laid it upon my spirit to start working on wholeness, to start inspecting the binary. Because before y'all take non-binary people and corrupt them, because see, that's the hill I die on. Y'all not finna corrupt the non-binary community. I don't represent all of them neither. Because some of them brainwashed and invested in the system. But all of that has not been corrupted. It's hope in that space. It's hope in that space. And so I started immediately before the trans community got to where it was, before I heard the word non-binary, I started working on my wholeness. And then non-binary came. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't follow that trends. I didn't stay on that trans road because this is another way for y'all to divide us from our wholeness. This is another way y'all trick us and trap us not to have the language to be able to articulate who we are and then to make us vulnerable and inferior when we have to navigate spaces with y'all. This is another way for y'all to son us. That's another way for you to say, oh, this is my son. This is my child. No. I'm my own entity. I'm my own being. I am sovereign and I am autonomous and I am cultivating a space for sovereign, autonomous, and whole beings. Who helping me put this work in? Where the cis women at? Where the cis black women at? Where they at? Where they at? Who? Where they at? Who? Where they at? Where they at? Where they? Because I don't see none. But you come in my comment section ready to cut up. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Because I don't see you. I see you looking, but I don't see you showing up. Same thing with cis black men. We already know y'all love working from the shadows. But then when it comes time to take the mic, you front and center. The Reconstruction period, the Reconstruction period was about reconstructing queer people, non-binary people, people who defied gender norms. It was about reconstructing all of that blackness. It was about putting it all in. It was about presenting like our oppressor. It was about putting on the monkey suits. It was about the straightening of the hair and the dressing like school. It was about all of that. It was about, and y'all made that um a depiction of people putting on their Sunday best, and y'all made that like it was the sovereignty. Y'all make that look like it's royalty. I saw a black woman doing a video the other day, and she was showing images of, like Mary McLeod Bethune and Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois, and she was like, "These not your ancestors. These not." You're right. They're not. My ancestors was the ones who died because they did not want to tap dance in this matrix. My ancestors were the ones that y'all buried when this movement started. My ancestors were the ones that you erased during the Reconstruction era. My ancestors were the ones that knew that the best we was gonna have was Kamala. So they never wanted to participate. They already knew where y'all was going with it. That's who my ancestors was. You're right. You're right. When y'all start talking about vote or die, that's gonna happen anyway. Death is a part of life. But what you stand for, Judge Joe Brown talked about legacy. He said that Kamala don't have a legacy because Kamala adopted grown boys. She don't have no children, so it's like a parable that, if you see the village burning or if you see the village about to collapse, do you ring the alarm to let the people know that the village is collapsing, or do you just turn and run away because you ain't got nothing holding you there because you ain't got no children? Let me tell you something. As someone who wanted to adopt children and has not adopted children, as someone who has biologically helped to bring no property here for this plantation. Let me say that again for the slow halflings, because we is coming against halfling behavior on this live today. As someone who has brought no property here for the U.S. government, as someone who has not adopted a child that could be my property, because at the end of the day you're responsible for them, so this is your property. As someone who has not participated in that ritual, and I'm not shaming mothers and fathers, I'm not shaming you whether you adopted or not, but sweetheart, y'all like to call a thing a thing. Let's call a thing a thing. Let's call a thing a thing. As someone who has not brought anyone here for that foolishness, to participate in that, to fall on their knees and worship Father God, King Jesus, to pray to a patriarchal deity, to participate in a government that does not celebrate black authenticity, and every time it puts a black person in a position of power, they never have any biological direct ancestors who were victims of chattel slavery, who were made prisoners of war. Y'all never put that in the White House. Y'all never let us see that in that White House, because y'all know that ain't no real Negro gonna get behind that desk and not gonna try to do something for their ancestors, not gonna try to do something for their people. But y'all keep giving us somebody with a teaspoon of melanin from another country, with direct ancestry from another country, another immigrant, because that's what the founding fathers was, immigrants. Y'all keep giving us another immigrant in the White House, and then we supposed to be happy with that. Let me tell you something. As someone, that's all I'm concerned about is legacy. I don't have no biological children. I have not adopted any children, but I have a whole bunch of chosen children. I have a whole bunch of God goddess children, a whole bunch of children I've helped to raise, a whole bunch of young beings I've helped to nurture, and I've invested my time and my energy into, and I love them. And everything that I do it for the ones that are coming behind me. So don't give me that bull crap about not caring about legacy because I ain't brought no slaves here for y'all. Don't give me that, because my offspring will not, unless y'all take some of my DNA and clone it. And that's not with my consent. I didn't give you consent to do that. I didn't give you consent to bring any of my DNA here to make a slave of it. So that's between you and my higher ancestors. They'll deal with you on that shit. They'll deal with you on that. That's above me. But I didn't consensually bring anything here to serve this shit. I didn't consent to bringing anything here. And you're not going to tell me that I don't care about my ancestors, and I don't care about my family, and I don't care about my chosen and biological family because I didn't bring anything here to participate in this. You're not going to make me feel like I'm less than. You're not going to diminish my contributions to society and tell me that I'm not concerned about legacy. That's what this whole channel is about. That's what I've been working on for 15 years. Legacy. That's what Lay Lim Lay Lurt Nation is. That's what New Legacy Ministries was. Legacy. That's what it is. Legacy. Talking about I'm not concerned about legacy. Miss me with that bullshit. Then y'all try to make it look like, so he said that you're not allowed to hang a crucifix. You can't hang a crucifix in the White House. You can't hang Christian and religious symbols in the White House, but you can wave a rainbow flag. And this rainbow flag is trying to get rid of shame, and it's trying to get rid of what he says, shame, and let me see. He said trying to get rid of shame and condemnation. Like, that's what the rainbow movement is about. Now I want to say this. And they're saying that because the LGBT is a breeding ground for breeding weak people, like LGBT people is scary and weak. Now, you know, we live in a colonized society, so I can't give you a lot of examples of black queer warriors or black trans warriors. I can't give you ancient examples of that because, you know, that's the type of information that they burned in those libraries. That's the type of information that they keep quiet from us. They're not going to tell us that, but they will tell us about the cisgender looking, about about those beings. So we know Alexander the Great conquered the known world. Alexander the Great loved both of them, penis and vagina. Alexander the Great was fruitier than a fruit basket, and conquered the known world. So you're not gonna tell me they got queer people, they got trans people, they got people that's on that other side. Like, I know a lot of Caucasian trans people who fought in the military, like who literally fought in the military. And a part of them transitioning was to find that peace because they was always on war mode. And don't get me wrong, they still on that war. So I know a lot of Caucasian vets. I know a lot of Caucasian vets who literally have transitioned to become women, and y'all try to make this like it's trans men who be more about that humbug than cis men. It be trans men who be ready for the violence, who be ready for the shenanigans, and y'all trying to make it like y'all literally call them the LGBT mafia. How do you think these people got to where they are if they didn't have no killer instinct and they wasn't around here ready to fight and kill? You think they just coming up in places and spaces and they not with the smoke? They ain't ready for the shit. Y'all really think that? Y'all really think that people just be around here skipping and hopping and singing la 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 and people not with the shenanigans? Y'all really think that's how the gay community is getting the power that it's getting? Waving flags and twerking? Y'all say Obama, y'all say Obama gay behind the scenes. Y'all say Obama gay. Y'all say President Obama is gay. Wasn't he the one who found Osama bin Laden? While he was in office, wasn't he responsible for war that for doing some stuff over there in Africa, some violence over there in Africa with his gay ass? I'm quoting Dane Calloway. So the who you sleep with, what you're attracted to, how you show up in the world does not mean that you ain't ready for the smoke. It does not mean that you're not ready to defend what you love. It does not. So stop using that argument to try to act like that the only ones who are capable of barbarianism, the only ones who are capable uh, uh, of of um of acting on animal instinct is cis men. Like the cis men's the only one capable. Some of us, we pick our battles. Some of us say, I'm not gonna cut up over this. This not worth it. Some of us pick our battles. But don't ever think that it does not mean that we're not ready for war. Sometimes we say, okay, I'm saving my energy for the war. You won this battle today. You got this. I'm not ready to argue with you and fight over you. I'm not ready to beat my chest and swing from the trees and swing my proverbial penis around over things that happen, over everything that happens. I'm just not about to do it. But that does not mean that when war comes, I'm not ready to stand and die for mine. I just have to believe in what I'm standing and dying for. And it's not going to be a space and a place where we see cis people in the front, cis heterosexual people at the front. I don't give a fuck if they black or white. It's not going to be that space. It's going to be a space for all of us. It's going to be a space for those of us who are still rooted in our indigenous cultures. It's going to be a space and place for us who are queer as fuck. Because if you don't have the capacity, you should not be leading. We all gonna have integrity. We all gonna have respect. And we all gonna have a certain level of decency. Decency, respect, thoughtfulness, compassion, concern, sensitivity. These are the values in which our collective must have. Capacity, thoughtfulness, compassion, decency, respect, sensitivity. But don't tell me that I gotta know my place because I'm not cisgender. Don't tell me I gotta know my place because I'm not a cisgender black man. Don't tell me I gotta know my place because I'm not a womb bearing cis woman, a womb bearing black cis woman. Don't tell me I gotta know my place. Don't try to stun me. Because you ain't been working on what I've been working on. And I ain't been working on what you've been working on. I ain't trying to be you. I'm trying to be whole. Let me say that again. I'm not trying to be you. I'm trying to be whole. And a matter of fact, I ain't even trying. At this point, I am. At this point, I am being whole. How about that? How about that? Let me get back to my notes. Yeah, I covered that. I covered that. Oh, another thing. Make sure y'all click that like button. Another thing that Judge Joe Brown said that ticked me off was he said that men, he said that men He said when it comes to pain or something like that, he said he defers to the woman because before a certain period, women were having babies and a lot more of them were dying from childbirth. And Candace sit her little peanut headed ass right there, and he said when childbirth was happening, women were helpless. They couldn't stop it. They were just dying. A lot of women were just dying during childbirth. But he said, as a man, we're never helpless like that. We could always anything that we deal with, we could always fight it off. We could always defend ourselves against it. Can you defend yourself against colon cancer? Can you defend yourself against prostate cancer? Can you defend yourself against testicular cancer? Can you fight out? You can't fight off everything. Stop lying and acting like men is so invulnerable and impenetrable. Like they ain't like it's not some things that men have to deal with that they just helpless in. And also, don't paint this picture that women they were just helpless to childbirth. Holistic care is real. Now we eat a lot of unhealthy stuff. We take on a lot of unhealthy stresses. During that time, women were being like before modern technology hit. Because don't blame um the rate of women who die during childbirth decreasing all on the advancement of technology, because it's a lot of things that have come into place so that women can become better as it regards the birthing process. Women are more empowered now. Women are able to vote. Women have more rights. Women have more perceivable privileges now. And so if you're happier, if you're in better spirits, if you're feeling better about yourself, then why would you think that wouldn't play a part in women having better birthing rates? Like, why wouldn't you think that would play a part in it? It wasn't just technology that's responsible for women now being able to carry the baby to full term and not expire after giving birth. That is not the only thing that helps. It helps that women are in a different place in consciousness. Women who are able to birth are experiencing a different season in their life. We're not going to add into the fact that a lot of women was dying during the birthing process because they was already stressed out. They were stressed out. They was being mistreated. They didn't have no voice. Let's add that into the equation, because I'm sure in other parts of the world where women before where in spaces where you just in the tribe and women aren't colonized like that, I'm sure all of them not dropping like flies. If they have a healthier diet and they're feeling empowered and they're not feeling oppressed, like, I'm sure that plays a part in the birthing process. Feeling good about yourself, feeling confident about yourself, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling respected, feeling thought about. Like, I'm sure that plays a part in a successful birth. And so you just tried to make it look like, oh, women were just helpless, like all of them were just helpless. No, I'm not buying it. I'm not believing it. Now, true, there's going to be some examples where I think everything is tied together holistically. If your mind is in good spirits, your heart is in good spirits, your gut is in good spirits, then many times the rest of your body is going to do what it's supposed to do. Your body is going to align with it. I don't have to I don't have to give birth to understand that principle. I understand that because of the surgeries that I've had to become comfortable in my body. I had to mentally, physically, and spiritually prepare myself to go through those surgeries. I had to mentally and physically prepare myself. Living with HIV, living with the nothingness, I have to physically prepare myself. I have to take care of myself. I have to put myself in a good mental space. I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself so that I can navigate this. And so our mental and spiritual where we are mentally and spiritually, it plays a huge part in how we are impacted and in social determinants. Okay? Now, a lot of black cis women, y'all here for the binary. Y'all here for the patriarchy. Y'all here for all of that. And I would like it if you are not invested in the work that I'm doing. I would like for you could go on your own platforms, you could take my comment, you could take my content, and you could address it. You could call it out. You could call it out. Because guess what? I am open for critique. I am open for you to say how you feel. I'm open for you to say what you're feeling. I am open for that. I am open to hear your thoughts. I am open to hear what you have to say. I don't mind nobody taking clips from what I said or content from what I said. And if you want to talk about it on your own platform, talk about it on your own platform. But just know that if you have not shown up, if you have not been invested in what I've been doing and you in no way showed up for me, that's how I'm going to treat what you're saying. That's how I'm going to treat what you're saying. That's exactly how I'm going to treat what you're saying. That's exactly how I'm going to treat what you. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Because I show up for black people. I show up for black women. I show up in black spaces. I will physically show up for you. If you invite me, I will come. If you invite me and it's a safe, respectable place, because I'm not going to never invite you nowhere where you're not safe. I'm not going to never invite you nowhere somebody going to disrespect you or play in your face. Not on my watch. I was talking to a black cis woman yesterday on the phone, one of the people who subscribe to my channel and support me, and she said that she want to start doing content, and she said she wanted us to work together. I said, okay. I got a girlfriend who's a black cis woman who live in Philly. I love her. When I've made trips to go and visit her on her birthday, like literally have traveled to her, and she's traveled to support me. She's traveled to show up for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, and I'm not saying that no black cis women have ever showed up for me, because don't get it twisted. If I call my cousin Tisha, I call my cousin Kitty, you know what I'm saying? I call my sister, like they'll look out for me. You know, they'll, if I need a few dollars or something like that, they'll look out for me. If we got something we got going on in the family, they look out for me. I'm really pretty much talking about a lot of you YouTube folks, a lot of you YouTube black women who have all of these comments on so and so and so and so. So I'm not saying there's no black women in my family who don't show up for me. Yeah, I'm not saying that. My mother loves my dirty draws. Thank you, God got it. My mother loves me. Me and her argue because we so much alike. But my mother loves me. I have the love. My cousin Kia loves me and will ride for me and will fight for me. So I'm not gonna say that no black women are showing up for me at all. My biological family, yeah. You know, sometimes they be a little funny about coming to some of my events because I am not an in the box type person. Don't get me wrong. I don't just have events that are adult themed, because we create spaces where we're trying to get back to where we were indigenous wise, not body shaming, people not feeling like they always got to be fully clothed, and people not feeling like they got to do respectability politics and all of that. There's an element of my art, there's an element of my work where I want to talk about sex work. I want to talk about things that happen in the underbelly of society. I want to have those conversations. I want to create communities where we can sort of weave that together so that we can have those beings in place that can be like, hey, okay, you went a little bit too far with that. If we're not even communicating with them, how are we going to create those collectives where we can set healthy boundaries throughout the spectrum? A man, a woman. Like, how can we create a system or create a society where we can set healthy boundaries in all of those areas where we can learn how to, live and move and maneuver like sovereign and autonomous self-governing beings. If we're just trying to erase certain parts of community, or we're just trying to lock out certain parts of community because we want to demonize it and alienate it and just question its morality altogether, question its complete existence altogether, how are we addressing it if we're not even having the conversation? So there are spaces that I create that are adult themes. There are spaces that I help to co-create that are adult themes. I would not say bring your children to those spaces. But ultimately, we should live in a society where if a woman is showing flesh or a male is showing flesh, it should not be an unsafe environment. We shouldn't be sexualizing people's body just because you can see some breasts, or just because you can see some cheeks. Because it's only savages who cannot see that and function normally. It's only savage people. See, a lot of us, we inwardly are savages. And we need the clothes and the language. We need all of this stuff to control that inner beast. And I could state my views on that. I could state how we got there. Cause some of us are more carnal than others. And I noticed this with a lot of my theo-melanated people. I'm not gonna say that there aren't African Negro people and people that are deeply melanated that give off the teas, but you have to look at the society that we live in. Our society around the world is heavily influenced by Eurocentric values. And so looking upon someone with lust because they're showing more flesh than you're used to seeing, that sounds like something you need to work out with your therapist. Demonizing them and shaming them because they're comfortable with their body. They're feeling comfortable in their skin. Demonizing them because of that. Now, I'm a firm believer. I am not here for pedophilia. I don't even find children attractive to look at. I said this in another episode about them having the little boy to play the little boy that played Ghost in the movies. He too young for me to be looking at have sex on the movie. Just it don't do nothing for me. Um the I'm not here for that. I'm not here for humans sleeping with animals, penetrating animals. I'm not personally not. That's not my sheesh. That's not my zhush. I'm not here for you living a completely Caucasian life and then dressing up as a black person for Halloween. And then when black people is going through it or when black people in trouble, you're quiet. You're somewhere getting your privilege. I'm not here for those things. I don't mind you celebrating and honoring black people. I think that um imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So I don't mind seeing black people, white people wear braids and afros, and I don't mind them wearing some of the stuff that belong because a lot of my ancestors sold y'all the culture. Like they get mad at you for stealing the culture, but y'all selling everything. Y'all sold them the music, y'all sold them the art, y'all made everything available online. Y'all sold them the culture. How you gonna get mad at them when you sold them your culture? Make that make sense. You out here selling your culture. You out here profiting off your culture. Then you get mad at them. They, you can't get mad at them. Y'all have made millions and billions of dollars. Beyonce then became a billionaire selling our culture. Jay-Z then became a billionaire selling our culture. So many people in the industry, multi-millionaires from selling our culture to Caucasian people. I'm not mad at them for that. I can't never say nothing about no white person for y'all done said the N word in every song, and they buy your music, and you gonna tell them they can't say the word? Make that make sense. You saying the word in every song. They buying your music, they streaming your music more than us, because the numbers is greater with them. And you gonna tell them that they can't say the word? Make that make sense. Stop putting the word in your music if you don't want them to have permission to say it. Stop selling them your culture if you don't want them to have it. Other than that, stop complaining about it. Y'all want that mainstream money. You want those mainstream dollars, but then you want to sit up and say they stealing it. No, they're not stealing it. You're selling it. You sold it. You profited off of it. But you mad at them now. Girl, stop. Girl, stop. Y'all be sitting up here. Y'all be sounding crazy a lot of the time. I'm looking at y'all. Y'all culture don't mean nothing to y'all. It's not sacred to y'all. It's not sacred to y'all. I make stuff all the time. I made this. I made these. These are made out of lamb bones from a special meal that I had with friends. People ask me all the time, you will make me some? No. This for me. And when I do make it, I'm going to make it for someone I love, someone who I'm invested in, someone who has shown up for me. These are gifts. When I paint a picture, I paint specifically for me and for my loved one, for people that have been invested in me, for people who have sown into me. I don't just put my shit online and sell it. Everybody can't have access. And some of y'all don't know what it's like to sacrifice. You done played this tape of slavery in your mind, and you so afraid of being anything like a slave, you become a slave as a result. You literally a puppet for the machine, trying to keep from aesthetically looking like a slave. You've literally become a fancy dressed up slave. You're literally what you were trying not to be. You just a house nigga up on the plantation in a fancy suit and a tie. You just a dressed up slave to the very machine that is responsible for making prisoners of war of your ancestors and treating them like cattle and telling them that they were less than a person. That's what you did. You did that all by yourself. You did that shit all by yourself. You did that shit all by yourself. You did that shit. Bitch. Y'all be sitting up here, y'all be making fun of me. Y'all be making fun of me. But bitch, y'all talk about legacy. When I get ready to leave this world, when I get ready to cross the divide, it's gonna be well with my soul, because when I first started, I was selling my art. When I first started painting, I would sell my art. I would still be strategic about who I sold it to. But I sold one painting to somebody I wasn't sure about. Because after they got the painting, they disappeared on me. Well, two people got the painting. They was Caucasian too. No tea, no shade. But after they got the painting, they disappeared on me. The rest of them I could still contact, I could still talk to. But the two that I sold it to, the two white people that I sold it to, they disappeared on me. They went MIA. And I'm like, that's my baby. It's like when we breed animals, like sometimes like between my best friends, between my closest friends, we'll breed dogs amongst each other. If you got a cat and I got a cat, I'm gonna breed my cat with your cat, and we gonna keep it in the family, and we gonna decide who get this cat, and we want all of the cats. We want to be able to call the person and be like, hey, how so and so doing? Da 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 da. Let me check in. How so and so doing? Da 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 da. You know, we want to be able to do that. Even when we have puppies, we it's in our chosen community. That's how we continue the line going. And so if I got a dog and you got a dog, We gonna breed our dogs together. And when you get the puppy, you get a puppy. We gonna call you and say, hey, how so and so doing? Da 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 da. That's how I am with my painting. I want to be able to reach out to you and say, what kind of energy is the painting giving you? Like how, like, I want to hear some testimonies about like the days in which you have felt down and you looked at the painting and it made you feel like that. And if I can't do that, I don't want you to have my art. Now you could call that ego, you could call that narcissism, you could call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a reality. And even with my music that I've placed online, that I'm giving to people, that I'm sharing, I made my music available because my music is what supports the ministry. And it's also a necessary message. All of the music that I put out, I'm talking a lot about wholeness. I'm talking a lot about honoring the mother and the father within ourselves. I'm talking a lot about balance. I'm having conversations that I don't hear other people having musically. But before I released that music to the world, for years, I made music just for my therapy, just for my tribe, just to share on live, just to share with certain people. Then I started putting it online because I want the message to reach people. I am comfortable with putting that out there. But trust me, it's always going to be something that I don't give. It's always going to be something that I don't share. It's always going to be something that I hold just for those people, just for those people who physically show up for me. It's always going to be something that I hold back just for those people that are physically showing up for me. Intimate. Some things are sacred. As much as I share, there's still a lot of things that are very sacred. And that's the real reason why I stopped selling my art. People always be saying, you should sell your art. You should do. No, no, no. This is for me. This is my legacy, Judge Joe Brown. I'm going to pass this down to my purple one. I'm going to pass it down to my whole ones. All of my paintings, all of my artwork, it tells a story. All of the jewelry that I make, it tells a story. And it's going to be in a museum. It's going to be in a sanctuary. It's going to be in a temple. And it's going to do for for the beings that I'm cultivating what it has done for me. It has reminded me who I am. And every day when I get up to navigate this world, I can be reminded of this jewelry. I could be reminded of the clothes that I've made the clothes that have my art printed on them. I could look at the walls of my room and I could be reminded of those stories that remind me of who I am so that I don't fall asleep in the American dream. So that I don't become a statistic in the American dream. So that I may be a prisoner. I may have to serve this government. I may have to follow the rules. I may have to do all of that. But in here and in here, I'm free. And if I could continue to cultivate that freedom for others, if I could get enough of us to start to tap into that, we can open a portal. We can open a portal and we can bring an energy that could shift. And everybody's not going. Everybody's not going to elevate. Everybody's not going to rise because we all done created our karma in this reality. And some of y'all going to be right where y'all, and it may be where you want to be. But I continue this work because there are people that I want to see when it's time to ascend. There are beings that I want to reconnect with. And I may be selfish. I want to see a lot of my family members. I want to see a lot of my chosen and a lot of my biological family members simply because I love them. I do. And so I have to continue to do this work of shifting the vibration, of elevating people so that when it is time for me to reincarnate, I can see them. Because I know that when I reincarnate next time, I'm not doing this. Baby, I have a doctorate degree in poverty. I have a doctorate degree in struggle. I have a doctoral. I have written several dissertations. I have several documentation, archived documentation of my journey as an impoverished, deeply melanated, queer, non-binary trans person. I've written every paper, every thesis. I can speak about it authentically from every angle. And I ain't doing this no more. I'm not coming down here. I'm not doing the struggle with y'all no more. No. If I walk on this earth again in the human form, I am walking in pure gold. I am sleeping on silk from the moment that I am born to the moment that I leave. I'm going to be dripped in gold and sleeping on silk. Only way I'm gonna do it next time. Only way. Only way. The only way. Only way. Still gonna be ready for battle. Still gonna be ready for war because I know it's always gonna be some mountain you gotta climb and some river you got to cross. That's just reality. But I'm not looking at it from this angle. I've learned so much. I've learned so much about people. A lot of people will grin in your face and act like they invested, but really low key, they just waiting on their check. They just waiting on their coin. And that's the thing with me. I want a check too. I want my coin too. But I don't want that check and that coin so much that I am willing to not speak up when I need to speak up. If I gotta choose between my voice, between speaking the truth and getting a check, do you know that I could already be earning a lovely salary? I had a job working for the state in Louisiana. I was working for the state. No college education, but I'm smart as hell. So trust me, if I would have stayed there for about 5 or 6 years and just ate shit, and it wasn't white people, it wasn't Caucasian people that made it so I couldn't go, that I couldn't stay. But the fear of the white gaze is what caused my black gay brother who had the power in that space to not stand up for me when I needed him to. It was the fear of being scrutinized by the white gaze. And that fear paralyzed him when I needed him to stand up for me, when I needed him to intercede for me. And I get it. You know, he probably had to eat a lot of stuff to get where he was. He definitely probably had to. Oh, he definitely probably had to eat a lot of dookie. You know, some children passing by, so I'm trying not to curse. But he definitely probably had to eat a lot of dookie to get to where he is. So he probably felt like, hey, you know, I had to eat dookie. You gonna eat dookie too? But no, this ain't that generation no more. We're not doing that no more, fat. You had to eat dookie, and I'm so thankful for all the dookie that you've eaten. But I'm not eating anymore. How does it stop if I keep eating dookie? If we continue to eat dookie and you don't, what did you do all of that work for and get in that position for if you weren't able to stand up for me? Like, do you really have any power if your power is only contingent upon me being a better kiss ass than you, me shucking and jiving better than you? What power do you really have? The power to cause other Negroes to conform? Is that really a power you want to brag on? Is that really a gift you proud of? So I had an opportunity to thrive working for the state. I was literally working for the state health department, and I had an entry level position. I had an entry level position, but with my know how and my brains, if I would have just ate shit, I could be getting a nasty bag by now. This was almost 10 years ago. This was almost 10 years ago when they hired me at $15 an hour. By now, I know I would be making at least 30 or $40 an hour. And I would have been able to bring that back to my community. I would have been able to put that back into my community. But I saw who I was becoming. I saw what the goal was. They gave me the job to shut me up. They gave me the job to get me to be quiet. So I would not have been able to develop the language and the work that I have now. I would be talking like them. I would be speaking like them. So I had to step away from the bag because I understood that my voice was more important to a generation that was coming. My message was more important. And so I had to sacrifice financially. Now, did I make that sacrifice without complaining? Did I graciously make that sacrifice? Did I make that sacrifice and I was like, I'm so glad to serve Laylim Layla. I'm so glad to be broke. I'm so glad that I can't afford a car note. I'm so glad that sometimes I have to live from pillow to pole and ask people for help. I'm so glad that sometimes I have to get on I have to beg people for cash apps for Laylim Layla. Anything for the God Goddess. Anything for the mother and the father. Did I do that? I did not. I did not. I did not. I said on YouTube, I said on Facebook, like I was gracious enough to leave YouTube for a while I got it together. I wasn't posting as much on YouTube, but what's for you is for you. I left YouTube. I went to Facebook because that's where my family was. That's where the ones that I really felt safe being that vulnerable in front of on Facebook. Got a whole bunch of followers I didn't ask for. And right now I can't go live on Facebook because my channel got so hot. I was going viral so much on Facebook that now they constantly shadow banning my content. So when I go live, I will not get any views. Like nobody will come on the live because they have been shadow banning me on Facebook. And in order to preserve my content on Facebook, I don't go live because every time I go live, they start finding old videos to delete and they start trying to strike my channel and where and my content is valuable to me. I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't be able to survive without it, but as a archivist, as a scribe, I'm going to do all I can to protect the legacy of my content. And so I stay off of Facebook in order to preserve the legacy because I want people to see the journey. I want you to know that I wasn't always able to communicate without screaming and hollering and cussing every other word. I want you to know because people think that spiritual awakening looks like this. Namio Horengekyo. Bitch, like you sitting there like this. Oh, 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 oh. No, spiritual awakening look more like this. That's what spiritual awakening look like. And so when I was going through my spiritual awakening, Because I always have been partially woke, but I was in denial. So I denied it for a long time, honey. I denied my spiritual awakening for a long time, baby. I fought that shit. I'm like, girl, you trans, girl. Let's not make it more complicated, girl. Let's just leave that. Let's just be trans and just focus on being trans. But stuff kept happening in my life and I just couldn't run from it. It was like when, in the Bible, when God told Jonah to go to Nineveh and Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, that was me. So I was running. I was a runner. I was a tractor. And then in 2015, when I left the job working for the state, I used to have this reoccurring nightmare all the time. In the spirit world, I always have powers. I always can fly, but I'm always battling this dark, chaotic force that comes to kill and destroy. In 2015, I realized that I was both of them. Like that, after I had my bottom surgery, I realized that I was both the force of light, and I've been having this dream ever since I was a child, ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old. I started having it around 6 years old. I was fighting this entity because that's what being brought up in a binary society and being brought up as a Christian, it teaches you. Stomp the devil's head, fight the devil. You're at war with the devil. The devil is your enemy. Evil is your enemy. Stomp him out. Fight him. Go to war. So in my dream, that's what I'm materializing. Now, mind you, I know this was a result of my Christian relationship because I didn't start having these dreams until my grandmother put me in church and we started reading the Bible every night before bed. That's when I started to have the dream. So I had these dreams all the way from 6 years old. Oh, that's a squirrel. Oh, that's a bird. It's a few birds. Yeah, so all the way from 6 years old, all the way till about 38. Till about 38. Um, I don't even think I was 38 yet. I think I was still 37. I went to sleep that night, and 3 plus 7 is 1. I went to sleep that night, well, 10, and then, the 1 and the 0, the Yanni and the phallic, merged together, 1. Um, but I went to sleep one night, and I stopped. Something said, stop fighting because this is you. And I don't go to the dream world a lot. I don't, like, because I smoke weed, I'll always be remembering my dreams. But I know when I stop smoking weed, I dream very, like, my dreams be so vivid that I literally will be, like, if I had a bad dream, I will be drained and I will have no energy for the day. It messes up my whole day. That's how real my dreams are. When I was a child, my dreams were so real. There were moments where I didn't know the dream world from the physical world. When I was like 13 years old, like there were times where I couldn't differentiate the dream world from the physical world as a child. Now, I know all I gotta do is, like, I know all I gotta do is stop smoking weed, and I would like start to dream like I used to dream before. And 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 I do want that. I do want that to happen for me eventually. Um, but right now it's just like the physical world is so much. It takes so much energy. And it's like I don't know what I'm about to be dealing with in the dream world. Like, but I do feel like there's been a lot of peace in the dream world for me since I stopped warring with my chaos, since I stopped warring with my darkness, since I stopped warring with my shadow. and I began to try to understand it, and I stopped thinking that it was my opposition, and I started trying to learn more of me, and I started trying to embrace more of me so that I could have better balance as a human being. And so, but when that shift happened, when that phase of consciousness came for me, when I got there, it wasn't easy. I was like, I was screaming and hollering and mad at everybody all the time. I went through a lot, spiritually and emotionally. And I'm in a different place now spiritually. Um, I don't beat myself up for being HIV positive anymore. I don't beat myself up for being misunderstood as a trans person anymore. I don't do any of that because I understand that the planet is suffering. The entire planet, like, there's so much pollution. There's pollution in the ocean, pollution in the air. Child, my blood being polluted, it shows my solidarity with Gaia. It shows my solidarity. I'm standing in solidarity, baby. We both polluted. You polluted, I'm polluted. But just like this earth can still shift, and just like it can heal itself, and just like it can still be used to accomplish great things, so can I. So don't ever think that because your body is polluted with a toxin, or because you're dealing with something in your blood, that you're dirty and you're unusable. Because the planet is dirty, the ocean is dirty, and one day that's gonna shift. One day soon, all of that's gonna shift. And it matters about where your heart is, where your intentions are, and what side are you on. And the right road, the road that you meant to be on, is always gonna be the one that everybody else scared to take. My grandmother always said, if it's missing, it's because you're supposed to do it. So, I stopped fighting with myself a long time ago, and I embraced this journey. And people who want to show up, people who want to be a part of this movement, you're welcome. Like, I don't have no biases against you, but just know that the same way you side eyeing me for being trans, the same way you side eyeing me for cutting my penis off, as y'all call it, and packing it up inside me, the same way you looking at me and you side eyeing me for certain things, I'm side eyeing you for being a halfling. I'm side eyeing you for being so proud of how you're thriving up on a plantation that made your ancestors prisoners of war, that made chattel out of your ancestry. I'm side eyeing you for peacocking every day. I'm side eyeing you for recycling the same gatekeeping ancestors every time we have Black History Month. I'm side eyeing you for telling me to get out and vote or die for politicians that don't reflect the most disenfranchised of our community, the most disenfranchised of our people every day. I'm side eyeing you too. We both side eyeing each other. Please know that. You ain't side eyeing by yourself. Please don't ever get that twisted. Don't ever think I ain't got a side eye for you. Don't ever think that while you having all these thoughts about me, I'm not having them about you too. My brain works as well. Both sides, as a matter of fact. You're using one side of your brain. I'm using both of mine. Wholeness, embodied, personified. So thank you for everyone who came on to the live. I want to give a shout out to SB Brown of VTAG. And the reason why I want to give her a shout out is because years ago, SB said to me, because I was looking at this trans masculine being who was non-binary. I think they called him Lil Bill. And I was so enamored by Lil Bill's energy. Lil Bill was born with the parts of a female, I'm assuming. And or maybe Lil Bill was intersex, I don't know. But Lil Bill just had this beautiful energy that gave you both male and female embodied. And I lived for that. And SB told me, SB was one of the first people that ever said this to me, and SB is a cis black woman. who is married to a black trans man. And SB said to me, she from New Orleans. She told me, she said, "You do that. You do that. You are that. You embody that." And I needed that because a lot of times we're made to feel like because we were born with penises, we don't have the power to embody it and to channel it like beings who are born with wombs. Like wholeness is reserved for them. Cause see, wholeness is where your power comes from. It's where your magic comes from. It's where your sorcery comes from. We all have gifts, and our gifts are amplified when we rest in that wholeness, when we know how to channel all that energy. You're gonna have some power as a halfling. You know, halflings got power too. I'm not gonna make it look like halflings are powerless, but halflings are drawing their power from whole one. They're drawing their power from wholeness. They're drawing their power from source. You don't have to go through source when you rest in your wholeness. You become source. You're acknowledging your wholeness, and so source is always with you. But when you are a halfling, you have to pull that. You have to pull that from whole one. You have to pull that. You have to go pray to something outside of yourself. But when you're a whole one, honey, you can shift the energy in a space. You could walk in and you could sing, or you could talk, or you can paint a picture, or you could dance, or you could do like any of your gifts. They just become amplified, and you mesmerize people, and you captivate people, and you have the ability to make storms stop, to make a wild animal getting ready to attack you back the fuck up. You could tame the savage beast when you know who you are. You could tame the savage beast when you know who you are. And so I am I am continuing on this journey. I am continuing to do this work. I am continuing to grow as a human being, as a spirit, as a soul, as an autonomous being. And I've done received a couple of calls while I'm on here, so if I seem distracted, that's why. Um, I'm going to end this live for today. I want to remind you all. I want to remind you all to light your candles. I want to remind you all to honor your mother and your father, to honor your grandmother and your grandfathers, your great grandmothers and your great grandfathers, and the beings that did not subscribe to the binary. You know, our ancestors who were just beings, who were just whole. Like, continue to do that work every day. Celebrate people who live, celebrate people who die, celebrate people who are coming, celebrate the little ones that are coming, and make that a ritual to honor that as your trinity, to honor past, present, and future, to honor the ancestors who are coming, which are the future, to honor the ancestors who are here, which is the present, and to honor the ancestors who have come, which is the past, present, and future. That is your trinity. Light your candles in celebration of their existence, in celebration of their being, in acknowledgement of their being. Amen, a woman. And as you begin to do that, a lot of things that are happening in the matrix, they won't have the same effect on you. It will bother you. You won't be like just so above it all that none of it bothers you. But you will process it in a different way because you are honoring death and life as they relate to each other. And I've been really thinking about becoming a death doula. Like I was looking at some classes online. I would love to study doula, to study to become a doula under some black women. I would love to be a part of a space where, cis black women. I don't know any black trans women who are doulas, unfortunately, but I would love to have some cis black women to, teach me how to be a doula. But if I can't find any cis black woman to do it, then guess what? I'm gonna have to go um, to the white schools online, to the Caucasian schools online. And so it is what it is. But that's something that I'm really interested in because I know that we're moving into a time where death is going to be more prevalent, where it's going to be a lot more people ascending and transitioning to the next realm. And a lot of us, we are not prepared to deal with it. We're not equipped to deal with it. And so I want to start preparing myself and equipping myself. I think I already am kind of like a death doula in my own right. I think that I'm already kind of like a doula that helps to transition, helping folks to transition, helping folks to deal with grief. I feel like I already do that, but I don't have a certificate. I don't have a paper that says I'm a death doula. So I do want to become certified because I understand you have to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. We in this matrix. I do want to be certified so that I can be able to show up in spaces and do it at an official capacity. I don't want to be looked over. I don't want to be looked over because I'm not certified. Amen, a woman. I don't want to be looked over because I'm not certified. I do want to be able to be certified for it. So yeah, that's something that I'm working on as a personal goal is becoming certified as a deaf doula, to be able to help people with grief. I don't know if I want to call it deaf doula when I'm actually doing it. I'm just trying to put it in layman's terms for people. But like I see it as more of an ascending doula, a transitioning doula, a grief doula. Like these are the words that I would prefer to use. But like I said, if I don't find anyone who has the capacity to help me get those documentations, to get those certificates, then I'm gonna have to, do it the generic way and just find, like a little colonizer school online and get my certificate that way. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got for this video. Uh, Thank y'all for joining me. Be sure to click the like button, help me get through the algorithm, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, for more deep and profound dialogue, for queer empowerment, for Black Indigenous empowerment, for merging, things together and just like embracing our purpleness. Because I talk about Black all the time because Black is the word that we have chosen to center, to acknowledge those who were, indigenous to this landmass and made prisoners of war, and those who were treated like chattel slavery. But the goal is to ascend to purpleness. That's why in every video I hashtag Purple Ones Rise, I hashtag Becoming Purple. That's why when I published my book, it's called Becoming Purple. Like that is the goal. A purple nation. Lay Lim Lay Lur nation. So that is the goal. But I say Black because that's a word that gets people that look like me attention. But the goal is purpleness. Amen, a woman. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Down but that I say cool keep spinning and turning in Gani Iyanko Kalukalo, which means I am a child of God Goddess. And if I am, you are bound and round, both circle and square. We too speak life. Operations beware, sending healing to those in despair. Il Babosawa, which means we come in peace, no harm to any. Lay lim, lay learn. Again, be sure to click like and support the channel. Subscribe. Let's try to get to 4,000 subscribers before the end of the month. And let's just keep rising, Purple Ones. I love y'all. Later. Lay Lim Lay Learn Nation.